Let's roll.
Yeah, let's roll.
Okay. You're going to read the questions and then...
First one is like, do you have money to finish the game?
Yeah, that one's fun. We should start with that.
No, we don't. It's over.
Over.
We once again need to ask you for your support.
For your support, yeah.
Let's start with what are your primary goals for the game currently?
Okay, sounds good.
What about introductions though?
Yeah, let's start with intros. That's better.
Intros.
Yeah. You want to go first?
No. Let me start. Okay. I'm Brice. I'm CEO at Antihero Studios.
I don't believe you.
You don't believe me? I have the papers.
Hey, what is up, guys? I'm Frank Yan, and I am the Chief Games Officer here, leading the game direction for our first game here at Antihero Studios. I'm referred online as V.
Hey, I'm Joan. I'm one of the engineers at Antihero Studios, and you can find me in Discord through Jonark.
All right, cool. Hey guys, I'm Felix. I'm the art director on Misfits here at Antihero Studios.
That you got serious.
You can find me as Fel7.
All right. So the first question would be, what are the goals for the game?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of really key things. And the first goal is very much aligned with the studio mission, which is that, our studio objective is games worth sharing. And so the games that we create here, we think it's really important that there's very strong social bonds that you can form with other people. And so with this game, one of the key objectives is that when you play this game, you should feel a sense of connection with other players just through play. And so largely, this is why you've seen a lot of the features that come through around social emergence and why we're focused on building social features even as we build the game at this early stage.
Every features that we're trying to do, we're thinking about how can this feature be more social, always asking ourselves this question, right?
Yeah, social emergence, it's something that, we're building some changes right now to the map. We're asking, hey, does this improve the ability for there to be social emergence between you and other players? And so that's very much core to this game.
There's something we noticed, it's especially on mobile games, there's a few very good multiplayer mobile games, but for us, we don't just want to do we're playing side by side or, like a brawl or like a squad, but it's more like going way more into, hey, how will people connect and how do they collaborate? And really of making games where you have a sense that you are connected with the others and you have a lot of free will in how you go about the interactions and so on.
A mobile game, most of the time you're going to play with randoms, right? It's a platform in which you play on the go. You don't make plans of like, hey, you guys are ready to play, you're going to ask your friends and you're going to have a time commitment. You might load it in the bus, you might load it on the toilet. And so most of the time you're going to play and you might not have your real world friends there. And so having an enjoyable experience with randoms, I think it's something that hasn't really been solved, at least on mobile game. Yeah. So that's also why we're so focused on this.
Going even a step further, no? Like right now in multiplayer games, you just go, you play with people and you just play once and maybe you never see them again. And I think one of our objectives is going a step further, and these people that you don't know, try to make them more known to you. So at some point, maybe you find a new friendship with someone.
Yeah, and then there's a second objective, which is we are, I guess by loose definition, an extraction game. We prefer to refer to it as a heist game, meaning that you're going into a map, you're taking some valuable loot, and then you have to leave that map to be able to secure that loot for yourself. And so, this genre has been explored on PC, but on mobile, it's still in its infancy. And so we really enjoy these types of games, but we're looking at how can we make this more accessible, because these games are generally very, very hardcore, very hard to understand. And so we've taken a lot of design swings to say, hey, let's rethink the design here, and how do we make this much more suitable for that mobile, especially these shorter sessions that you might experience when you play on your mobile phone. And so that's resulted in a lot of design changes that you'll see in our playtests, but we really hope that we can, allow more people to enjoy this type of a game.
Yeah, extraction is it's a word, right, that is used to describe the type of game we're making, but at the same time, it's telling you what you have to do at the end of the session. You have to extract, but you have to say heist. We prefer it because, there's this heist, you think about Ocean's 11, and you think about a crew, right? It's like you go in with your crew, with your friends, and you have to heist, you have to steal and get out. Yeah, we feel like it's a bit more describing of the type of game we are making. And to us, this genre can be as big as Battle Royale. But Battle Royale started in games, like in PUBG, for example, where the game itself was very accessible, right? A lot of people could play and started there, and everybody saw the potential in Battle Royale. Where with Extraction, with Ice games, it started in a very much more niche and hardcore game like Tarkov. And we have the feeling that since then, so there is the potential, but since then, there was, many game studios and teams are trying to make it more accessible and really make the PUBG, let's say, of Extraction.
Extraction games have this tension of you keep looting and you keep finding shiny things that you want to extract with, and you need to survive all the time, no? So I think it creates a very unique feeling. It's a bit explored on computer games and console with these games, but I think it's not on mobile, no? So how can we bring this now hardcore experience to all the users around the world is kind of our objective.
Yeah, and then those two objectives combine into hopefully, like what we saw as a huge opportunity was that this type of game, especially with this more dynamic team up social design that we've built in, allows for a lot of really interesting social dynamics to emerge, whereby a player might go in with a teammate and then at some point decide to leave that team. And so the user stories, the player stories that develop are what we hope players that play our game will have as lasting memories. That they remember a particular instance and it's very memorable because of the series of events that happened between you and another player. And we hope that if you play our game, that you leave with this feeling of, oh, there's this really memorable moment that I had with this other player. And that's really the core of the experience that we hope that players will be able to.
Yeah, because if we think about it, like when we play a Battle Royale, it's like, for me to win, you have to die, right? Where in an Extraction, we are all, in a way, we're in the same room, but we are all in our different journey. So, like, I can kill you, but I don't have to, right? You can go after each other, or you can help each other and kind of give you choices. That's very, very particular, I think, for that genre, and that mixes very well with what you're talking about, right, Frank? This social emergence.
For me, it's one of the main motivations, personally, of the game. Just seeing, we've been running some betas now, and seeing some playtests and seeing players, now I treason you, but I forgive you, and now we team up again, and now you're at 1 health, but I show you an emoji, and okay, let's keep respect, let's leave, It's this kind of dynamic interactions that are happening constantly with all the users around, and it's like every moment kind of feels unique, and you kind of bond with other people because each moment feels like more memorable.
Let's move to the second question.
We didn't answer what's the current goal for the update.
I don't know how much we want to say, but certainly this next update, internally, we refer to it as reinforcing the core gameplay. There in our last playtest, one of the key learnings was, it looked like the game had some potential. People were really enjoying it. But it was clear there was a lot of, whether it was PvP, PvE, combat related, controls related, there was a lot of these core issues which we definitely needed to improve upon. And so instead of working on what we were previously planning to work on, which was meta systems, we decided it would be better use of our time to go and reinforce that core to make sure that when you come in and play again, that you don't feel like the controls are working against you, that the combat's feeling really, really good. And that, because ultimately that's the piece that you play the most. And so we really have to make sure that we nail that. And so we decided to use the update to focus on that piece.
One big change now is performance. We're doing a lot of work. Felix has done a lot of things. Us on the engineering side, we're doing a lot of things too to help us improve the performance on Android, especially. We've had some issues. So
can we expect better performance?
Yeah, hopefully it should be much better.
Yeah, we have a test device that was used to run at in the lobby. I think it was between 5 and 9 FPS. And over the course of a few iterations, we brought that up back to 30. So we're pretty happy about it. But we have more to work on to make sure that every single device is, at least in the last, let's say, six years, will be able to run the game well.
I would say that's always going to be like a consistent effort improving the game, making it more optimized. So yeah.
Then the nature of Android is that there's a million of devices that you need to support with a million of different configurations, and it's not possible to just do like one thing and then it works on all of them. There's always going to be marginal cases that which will be hard to test because we don't have that specific device. So often you're working blind.
Yeah, so there is controls, where we're working on controls, performance, and you were talking about the core and the core gameplay. And that's, I guess there is two things there, right? There's the PvP and there's the PvE as well, right? Mm-hmm. And so, as you said, the update is called reinforcing the core, right? Because we just put a first iteration of what the PvP could look like or what the PvE, could look like and everything. But now we are going one more time in there and just making a bit better mobs, and even the map probably is part of that. At the end of the day, one way we can make the game more approachable for a lot of people, it's by improving the PvE. And we could do, for example, we can imagine doing games where there's less players on each map, but they're doing more PvE. Therefore, it's less hardcore. We can imagine that for maybe the first few games, and depending on your level, it would be part of the matchmaking. But that means we need more PvE. We saw that playing pretty well in Arc Raiders, where the game, as you guys know, it was a PvE game first. Mm-hmm. So the team put a lot of attention into the system, into the mobs, into the AI of the mob, all of this. But then when they turn it into PvP, then there are this really a good supporting PvE, right? Mm-hmm. So to casualize the game and that made it very interesting. We played Arc Raiders a lot, right?
A lot. And very excited about the launch.
With what you said, I think we can already say that we're making a new map. No? Do you want to talk a bit about it? Or?
Yeah, the map is going to be a little bit bigger, and we're going to make the zones a bit more defined and have a little bit more storytelling built in to it so that each zone feels a little more unique. Because one of the issues with a top-down game, especially one which doesn't have a mini-map like us, is players can easily get lost. And we are trying our hardest not to add a minimap and seeing what we can do without it. And that means that even within a particular quadrant, that players can orient themselves easily. They can know, hey, this is where this thing is, this is where I am within that region. And so we're doing a lot of work to try to make each one quite defined, and that should help with navigating around. The second aspect is we'll actually trying to improve replayability of the map. And there's some things we're doing there that I won't reveal here that will hopefully help with those aspects. And so you should look, hopefully those things will both hit the landing, and you'll be able to play a lot more hours on this map without feeling like you're kind of burnt out of it. And then longer term, we'll have to make a decision as to how many maps I want to do. But we're trying to get one really good map in, and that's going to be part of this next update.
Yeah, I guess we're not going to reveal everything, but there's a simple thing with replayability. It's now we have the chest. Once we open them, they're not going to just close and stay at the same place. Mm-hmm. We are moving them a little bit, moving them here and there a little bit. So
yeah.
How do you plan to casualize the game?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things there. This is actually a very top of mind for us because we're really trying hard to figure out, that this genre, part of the reason it's so hardcore is you go in and you lose a bunch of your gear if you die. And so the death penalty is actually really, really high. And so some of the ways we're thinking about it is, we'll have matchmaking built into this next version, whereby we'll look at skills, we'll measure skill in some way, and we'll kind of try to pool people together of similar skill. One of the things we noticed from last playable is that there were some really hardcore players that have been playing the whole time, and they just started going around slaying all of the other players. And so we're going to try our best to manage that a bit better with this next update. Sorry to everybody who is a casualty. Yeah, it's matchmaking. And that's one aspect, as well as, this won't be part of this update. It'll be the next one. But we are looking at how do we give players meta progression without needing to necessarily extract successfully every single run. And so that one will come in, not this update, but the one after.
That means that basically you still have a sense of progression, even if you don't extract every time.
That's right.
So it's not like you getting wrecked, you die, and it's just you're stuck in this loop, and there's no way to get out of it because there's no progression.
But at the same time, right, we don't want to. It's extraction, right? So the thrill comes as well by you're bringing those 3 gears with you in the game, and you might lose them, right? And you might lose everything, or you might lose quite a bit, right? So we're trying to find that right balance between, well, you even if you're dying, you're still progressing, but at the same time we keep the thrill, right? We keep the thrill that is so specific to the extraction genre.
Yeah, we're not trying to dumb the emotion down, right? The tension down. We're trying to keep that tension and probably onboard you better into that experience rather than throw you in and it's like a sink or swim experience. We're trying to ramp you up to what we think is the experience we want to deliver long term. We understand that a lot of players might have never played an extraction game before and just are not used to this sort of like, I die and I lose all this progress. So I think ramping them up to it, but still keeping the goal of the game to be, not a compromise on the feeling of like the gameplay, player experience of a extraction shooter. We still want to keep that. We're not trying to soften it.
So I think there is 2 other big important aspects, which are, first, we are reducing the amount of loot that you can gather. Like in other games, you have these trillion items, different rarities, different typologies, and as we have just, at least for now, gear and relics, no? And even relics is like this one thing. Gear, there is more variation, but not that much. And then there is the inventory management. So usually in these games, there is a lot of how much things you can carry and what do you pick up. You need some time to pick up each item and everything. I think we're trying to make that simpler. No, we cannot promise that we will never have this kind of stuff, but at least let's make it more approachable.
Yeah, that's where the tricky balance is like which simplifications do we take on and which ones do we have to leave, because we don't want to lose the core essence of what the genre has been defined by. And so a lot of experimentation there to figure out the right balance.
All right. So moving on. Frank, I think that one is,
I think
that one is for you. What are your ideas for monetization system? Can this game has the possibility of becoming a pay-to-win game?
Yeah, both of these are very top of mind and have been we've been thinking about quite a bit. Being a mobile-first game, there is a couple of things. The first thing is that, with our game, we want to really make sure that there's, it's very socially emergent. And we want to make sure that monetization also reflects that in the sense that there will be things you can monetize on that benefit. For instance, imagine a party ball that you could purchase that then you can let loose, it'll explode, and then there'll be a bunch of rewards that everybody else around you can grab. This could be something in the lobby, or maybe it happens in the game. That's one example. In Pokemon Go, there were lures. That's a huge inspiration point for us as to what else we could do. And I think in that monetization vector, there's a lot to explore there that's yet to be explored. So we're really excited about what we can do there.
So does that mean that if I buy something in the shop, then you can have something out of it?
Yeah, other people can kind of benefit from something that you purchase in the shop. That's one thing we would really love to amplify. So we think the game really leans into that. In terms of other things, I think that we are considering gacha, like in terms of maybe character unlocking, maybe in terms of how you get items. I think with that, where we want to be careful is two areas, and I think it was touched upon. The first is to set price points that we feel are reasonable, and to not have something super aggressive there. So balancing that is very top of mind. The second piece is around this aspect of pay to win. And this, we will have progression for each of your heroes, but the way we're thinking about what benefits that provide are very much from the standpoint of how do we, instead of giving you straight up power, give you options, give you customization. These games actually, extraction genre has a lot of customization built in. We want to really lean into that rather than giving you just strictly more power. And so we're going to try our best to get that feeling really, really good so that when you buy, it's not that you're just stronger, but there's utility benefits, there's pros and cons. They call them kiss curse in game design, where you might get a benefit in a certain area, but you'll be disadvantaged in another area of your kit. Things like that are things that we're exploring, and also this luck system, which we're also you might have seen already, where it impacts the drop rates of certain items through the game. Things like that are how we are trying to avoid it being this like pay to win, pay to earn a bunch of power.
You've been quite like instrumental also in designing the new gacha system, right, of Brawl Stars, and is something that you just touch on, like, is also learning from that experience of yours, like on Brawl Stars? Or?
Yeah, certainly. I think there was a lot of frustration in terms of players being able to get the characters that they wanted when the game had brawl boxes. And in the new system that I helped design, which was what we call the Star Road, it was a system where it was very clear when you were going to get a certain character. I think there's a good healthy mix of both. Some games call it a pity system, for instance, where we kind of are able to protect your downside while still providing you the opportunity to have a chance of getting a character earlier, type of thing. So we still think that dynamic will be present in some form. We're not sure exactly what, but that piece is both, we think going to be part of the system that we'll design.
I guess we will also have some cosmetics, no? And maybe because our unique nature of the game and how we're doing the social lobby, you were mentioning this party wall, but I'm sure there will be a lot of more other monetization aspects that are not necessarily power or pay to win related things.
Gacha, social monetization, cosmetics. Is there any other big one, or I don't think so?
Not for now.
Let's go a bit adjacent to the game. Maybe like people are asking what engine are we using to build a game?
We're using Unity engine, and for the most curious folks, we're also using Photon and Quantum technologies, which is what supports the multiplayer technology. For us, it was really important that there wouldn't be a lot of desynchronization, that we would, like what I'm seeing, you're seeing on screen, so there is no mismatch. You're seeing literally the same thing. And we found that this quantum from Photon technology allowed us to have really deterministic engine, so we could see everything at the same time with minimum lag. We don't have a server running everything, all the simulation of the game, and then sending it to the players. It's more each device is reasoning their own thing, and then you might think, oh, and what about cheaters and everything? Then it compares each state of the different devices. If we are R4, it compares, and if it detects, Felix has a different state that it's not the same as the others, then we can say, well, you're cheating, and ban you.
Sounds like a bit like the blockchain,
blockchain.
Almost like a blockchain, no?
I guess.
Where you were asking like different computers.
It's not a crypto game.
Let's just clarify that. Yes. Thank you, Felix.
And then I would say we're using Unity, which is pretty popular, and I think it's most used in mobile games.
When will sound and music be added, Felix?
When will we have sound and music? Yeah, you guys have been asking sound from like day one playtest. It's an alpha, okay? I think music is incredibly important for us. From the little you've seen from the IP, we definitely have that like rebellious, high energy IP. We're making a game about culture. So what's culture without music? We want to have music. We're just taking our time to build this game, and we'll put music in soon. But same thing for sound effects. We needed to have our characters knowing how they're going to look like, what their abilities are going to be before we put sound effects. Because before, all art was placeholder. So we would just be making placeholder sound effects, and then we will have to then redo the sound effects on top of that. So we need to kind of locking a little bit more our assets to be able to start producing the sound effects.
I guess we don't want to spend time producing and implementing sounds and music that we're not very happy with to later redo it again with definitive sound. So
we start up, right? So we are like super ruthless in how we spend our time and our money. So we try to avoid even if you can make the project a bit better now, we try to avoid doing something that we're gonna have to redo later, right? So I guess that brings us to another question that was asked, more about the company. What are the first few steps of putting a company together? the type of company we make, right? And to make a game, it takes time, right? It takes quite a bit of time, quite a bit of people. It's not something that you can do alone. I guess depending on the game maybe, but and the level. So quite some time, quite some people. So usually we go more with venture capital and raising a little bit of money from VC. That allows us to put a team together and to start to make a product, right? And along the way, there might be other moments where we need to raise money, and we're trying to really hit the targets for all those moments and try to see a show rather like to VCs and to our players, like the progress that we're making on the game, the progress we're making on the company. Because there's the game for sure, but there's also the marketing that is quite important for us. Marketing is also becoming more and more competitive, and but at the same time, we think we can innovate quite a bit there. So to kind of repeat that, it's the first few steps is, well, you need a good idea for a game, right? You need like a good concept for a game and something that you think player might like, something that hopefully doesn't have too much competition, and if there is, where you have an edge, you propose something. We call it like a USP, like unique selling points. What are the unique selling points of your game, right? And that's something we need to communicate very clearly to the players just by the game, right? And to us, those two USPs are extraction and social, right? And hopefully when everybody play, like they notice that, oh, it's extraction and it's social, right? And if we can make that clear to us, to the players, and that, hey, there's not much of those products out there, like most likely we're gonna have a chance, right, to have players and go to the next stage of the company and so on, right? Obviously, they need a team, so we need to put the right team together. We need to be lean, meaning the right team. It means like where we need the engineers and we need like artists and art directors, and we need like someone that is more on the product and guiding the team, and we need like the one that is raising the funds. There's a bit more me, and then there's all the paperwork and all the legal and all the taxes. So that's something that, if we want to put a game out there, that's other stuff that you just need to do, right? And there's a lot. There's a lot of it. I knew there would be a lot, but there's way more than what I thought, right?
Yeah.
So we're trying to do as simple as possible, but it's definitely quite heavy.
Do you want to talk about the company mission or anything like that related to? Because I remember you were saying you were at some point, like you couldn't help but leave to be able to do this. So, maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good point actually. Yeah, when I was at Supercell, I was doing art direction on Clash Royale for the first few years, building the characters and doing everything art related. When I joined Supercell, we were 2 artists on Clash Royale. There was like millions of players, something like 50 million players and 2 artists, right? So that was just a bunch of stuff to do. But then kind of went through different responsibility, through different roles, and ended up, from decision to decision, ended up also on marketing. I spent a couple of years on the marketing team at Supercell. You get to understand that, well, Supercell is doing something very different from what everybody else is doing. What you see a lot out there from other companies, it's like a lot of what we call performance marketing. It's very mathematic type of marketing. It's not that inspiring, and it's really about finding a way, in whatever way, and sometimes it's very absurd, and a way to bring players, sometimes low value players, in a way that to your game. So that's where us as players, we see sometimes on Instagram or Facebook those weird ads, that
misleading ads with cringe advertising.
Yeah, the misleading ads, the ads that you see that it's one game, but then you download it in another game, Those are, I'm not gonna go too deep into it, but it's just to find a way to get people, to download your game. Overall, in mobile gaming, like everybody does performance marketing. That's like 95% of people. But then when you look at other companies in other industries, like consumer and fashion or whatever it is, then you get to see that, well, everybody is doing branding. Everybody has a mission which is higher than just one specific product. They are trying to achieve something bigger than each individual product. So if you take Nike is about helping you to be an athlete, and they have product that helps you to become an athlete. They're not spending much time in marketing every shoe, every t-shirt, every underwear, whatever it is, right? But it's that bigger mission. to us, like that bigger mission, and we inspired by that approach of company building and branding and marketing. Like our mission is to connect people through games, right? It's bigger than a game, right? It's bigger than one game. It's bigger than two games. There's a bigger mission than that we're trying to achieve, and so we might do physical playtest. That means bringing people together here in the studio and playing the game, right? But then meeting people and chatting and, having like a shadow cook or whatever it is, right? We're making a game for sure, but we try to do more than that.
And that second piece is really, really important because we think that in the mobile industry, largely speaking, games are, a lot of them are still kind of these, you play together but apart. And we think there's a lot more to explore in terms of the social dynamic, like what you see in Roblox, like what you see in, Pokemon Go. And we really wanted to push that because A, it's very aligned with the mission of the company. The reason why mobile games are so compelling is the fact that everybody is able to kind of access these games, and to be able to play together in meaningful ways is where we want to continue to make headwind. And these in-person playtests are a way to do that. Allow you to easily be able to add somebody you played with and be able to play again with them. Even saying those words, you probably know a bunch of games where that is not really well supported. We thought about that from the ground up and really want to make sure that that's part of the core experience. And so things like that if we do our job right, that you can come away from our games having made really meaningful connections with other players, that's ultimately what is the metric for a success for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that also means, it's a good point. That also means, tomorrow we do a new game, and it's also going to be like a social game, right? The company mission is connecting people, so we're not going to start to do solo games and, The Last of Us type of game, right? That's not us. We actually found that in the development, being a startup, having to be very focused on our goal and achieving our mission, and just us as a team being aligned on what is the game that we are making, and to be able to make it together. Like having this mission, right? These games we're sharing, and this is about social, like really focuses us, right? Compared to other teams and other company, we really managed to super focus and not lose time too much left and right and debating what is the game about and taking different direction where we don't really know where we're going, but we're just trying things. For us, it's like very, very, very focused.
Yeah, that's right.
When is the next playtest?
Yeah, so you might already see it on our website. We have an in-person playtest July 11th and 12th. But happy to announce today that within about a week from that is our target.
I thought you were going to say no. Yeah.
Not now. Today, about a week from that, so you can expect sometime middle of July, we will run another online playtest, much like Pre-Alpha 1 that we just had at the end of May. So stay tuned for that. That'll be some of the stuff that we just talked about today as to what will be in it. And we actually want to do these relatively often because we want to get that iteration loop. We want people to be able to tell us, hey, are they still enjoying the game or not? And this kind of active ongoing alpha format allows us to really stress test, whether this game is worthy, to be shipped, into beta and beyond. Mm-hmm. And to continue to get that feedback, to iterate as we need to. We don't want to be one of those guys that is, goes into a cave and waits 4 to 5 years and goes, ta-da, and then it's not good.
Like Concord.
Well, I mean, damn, okay, I didn't know we were going to call people out here. Okay, maybe we had names. But yeah, so it's like very much like we want to take multiple shots on goal by just shipping these playtests. Mm. And if you guys tell us that it's doing better, that's our, that's success to us. And to get on this road towards beta and beyond.
So I think we need to make clear that as the game moves forward, we're gonna do more often playtests until at some point it's always open, no, and people can jump in at any time, no. So,
right. Yeah.
It's different times, right? It's different times, and on the marketing side especially, right? We feel like we need to be way more connected to the community and not go into what you described in this cave, and so on. And yeah, it's like, it's scary. I think it's scary at first. Like, hey, can we put the game out? There's not even music.
Yeah.
There's no music, there's no art.
You remember the capsule that jumps up and down? That was like Felix trying to add some like life to the capsules that we had, making them jump.
Yeah, so it's scary, right? There's this, and there's the fact that maybe, you know, and can other companies copied us, you know, when they see it's good and so on, right? But at the end of the day, it's like, you know, it's really about building with the community, and, you know, even if, a company might copy a feature or not, you know, and, you know, too bad, but what they don't get from copying us is like the community that we can build over time by doing those Q&As very early on and doing those playtests that, you know, we describe, and hopefully every playtest, you know, we can make it a big moment and kind of grow our community. Like last time we went from 200 people on Discord to 1,200 people. Hopefully next time there's 5,000, maybe even more. And yeah, as Johan, you just said, like maybe one day, you know, there's one playtest and just stay open, and that's it.
Yeah, because right now we're worried about concurrency.
That'd be cool.
We're worried about concurrency because the game is very heavily multiplayer, so we need actual players. We don't have bots in this game at this present moment. And so if there's no one on, then you're just playing a solo experience, and we're worried about that. And so this is why we've limited the playtest in terms of how long we keep it open for. But if we get more people, then we would love to be able to run it for a whole 24-hour time clock, for instance, on a particular day or over multiple days. We're just not there yet, so this is why they're limited. And so far they've been limited by region. I think we're going to try to open that up a little bit more with the July playtest.
So we're opening new region? Like, are we going to have servers in new region?
Let's see.
Let's see.
Sorry to our kind of Eastern continent folks. We know that the time we ran that was midnight to 3 a.m. for some of you, and we're going to try to move the playtest a little bit earlier. Obviously, West Coast then takes a hit, but we're going to try to balance a little bit better for this next one.
We were talking about optimization before, right? I guess optimization, there's two things, right? There is the optimization on the device and the performance on the device, but the fact that we have servers only in Europe, that means that, if you're in the US or if you're in South Korea, then you're going to have a bit more latency, right?
Yeah. That's something that as the game grows and we have more players, we're gonna be able to segment more the regions. But right now, I think, most of our people is in Discord, so it's important that we can all see each other, we can play together, and also that there is enough players. So as the game moves on, grows, has more players, that won't be that much of a necessity.
Felix, why is Shade so hot?
Is that a question?
Yeah, that's a question. From Blue Armad.
Guys, come on.
But we want to know.
I didn't know that she was so hot. I think I'm happy that players are resonating with her design. What can I say? I would have hated the question would be, why is Shade so unattractive?
Yeah. I guess that's
so dull.
I think that is a compliment.
Yeah.
That was a fun one. Will there be something?
And beyond.
Will there be something like Brawl Talk in the future?
It depends. Probably we'll probably want to talk about what features were out. Probably not until we hit beta and beyond. At this stage, I think a more casual thing like this might be good. I'm not sure. It's really effective, and we definitely want to be able to summarize stuff. But we're playing around with different formats. I don't know. Do you have thoughts on this?
What is this? Is it like a... what is it?
Where are we?
This is the first Misfits Talk. Welcome to Misfits Talk.
Maybe.
Yeah, but once we get onto a regular cadence, certainly when we hit beta and beyond, we could definitely consider doing something like that. I like how short they are. Like, they actually don't say everything, and then they let creators kind of reveal stuff. That's really cool. So we're really inspired by that format.
I think we should do it. We should do it our own sauce.
Yeah.
And it's something that fits with who we are as a company, where we're at, and where the game is at. So
yeah, definitely. I'll be jumping, left and right here, but do we have money to improve the game?
No.
Please do it.
This is every day he gives us $1, and that lets us buy food.
We're not paid actually. So once again, we need to ask for your support.
Please support us.
Donate link in the caption below.
Here's my crypto address.
Are we taking this question or?
I think you should take it.
Should take it?
I think you take it. I think it's good to talk about some of the realities. I think it's good for people to understand what a startup, why startups are so hard.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's also part of the previous question of what does it take to build the company.
Yeah.
we have the money so far. So we raised two times. We have a total of $5 million at the bank. That sounds like a lot, for anybody out there. But when you have the team,
Games are expensive.
yeah, everything is expensive, and there's a lot of materials to buy. Obviously, there is the salary, which is the biggest cost, and the team needs to grow. So the team is more and more expensive, but there is like 40, 50 softwares, that we are using on a daily basis throughout all of us. That cost a lot, and the server cost that cost quite a bit, and marketing, we have to keep a lot of money on the side for marketing, and that is vital, right? Because if we make the game but we don't have money for marketing, then there's just no game, right? It's not going to shit. So 5 million seems like a lot, but trust me, guys, it's not so much. It's not so much, and hopefully, we can also put the game out there at some point with some monetization and already kind of soften that, and maybe start to make a little bit of money every month, and so we can run for longer. But yeah, we raised 5 million from some of the best venture capital, some of the most prestigious in the world that really believe in what we're making and believe in the team, believe in the game, and believe that we can make something that our player will like. So yeah, we really got trusted by the best of the best in the world.
Yeah, and the best you could do is let us know if we're doing a good job, because if the game keeps progressing well, and especially with all the great feedback we've been getting, then there's a better chance that we make it and continue to move to global and beyond. And so part of the reason startups are so hard is there's very much this, what we call a runway. It's when you run out of money, like that's it. We're hoping to ship way before end of runway so that we can get the game out, have some iteration, and then hopefully at some point it'll monetize, and then we won't have to worry as much about the runway running out, And so that, is one thing that is scary, but also keeps us very motivated as a startup to try to make the best game we can and to actually ship. We want to ship soon. And so that's all of that, I think, boils down to hopefully a team that is really aligned and is just like heads down trying to get this thing out, and not, spending our money at random things in random ways, to be very, very careful about where it goes and deliberate about what we do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and with this, I guess it's also important to say that we are very independent. We are 100% independent, and it's our game and nobody else's game, and we make all the decisions on a daily basis. So we got a lot of trust from our investors.
Which is cool because we can spend time putting a turtle.
That was very surprising. Not expecting. You never really know. Every day the players they surprise us on the Discord with something that some of the stuff I don't understand, especially in the memes channel. I don't understand 90% of those memes. But
that's a skill issue.
Was so surprising. These are the things that we hope to be able to do.
It's fun.
Yeah, it's really fun, and the community always surprises us with what resonates with them, and so we try to take those opportunities and lean into them.
Yeah.
There's a question about whether there's going to be a turtle skin in the game. I feel like you thought a lot about that one, right? What are we gonna do?
Yeah, we'll do it.
A turtle hero?
Confirmed.
Confirmed, guys. Bam, right?
I think someone even did a concept already.
Yeah, which was great to see our first ever concept hero. Thank you for whoever did that.
Skin. Ship it.
Yeah, let's go. Let's do it.
Yeah, no, I would say that the intent, we have this community, and I think for us it's very important that it's not only the community having fun with the game and with us, but us having fun with the community, So this kind of stuff with the turtle and everything, I think it's something that we want to embrace, and we want to be playful with it, and we want to just have fun with everyone.
Totally.
Yeah, we're making a game, right? We're not making accounting software or something.
Right.
Like that.
Oh man, damn. I used to be an accountant, so that one hurts a little bit more.
I'm sorry, Frank. Skill issue number 2.
Are we thinking of making a story for the game?
We're not a story-driven game, so I don't think we're gonna make a story, but we're gonna have a world, universe to sort of uncover. So there will be lore. There will be a story to the characters. And there's not gonna be a story that you follow in the game, but we'll find ways surprising ways.
So in the future, there will be an anime? Yes or no?
Yes.
That's important.
We'll do things like environmental storytelling, right? Which means by exploring the map, you'll just have cues of things that have happened, lore elements that hopefully, you're going to be able to connect the dots and uncover some of the, like mysteries or background stories of characters. Like we'll define those, but we'll not focus on those in the gameplay.
How long have each one of you been working in the gaming industry? Maybe that could be our last question.
Okay, sure.
Like
Alex,
outro.
you want to go first?
Outro.
Yeah, I mean, I've been working in the game industry since I've been sort of like working. I started as an animator, and so I think I started working as an animator in late 2015, or like summer 2015. So it's been 10 years.
10
I
years.
just realized.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
10 years right now, actually.
10 years
This long?
now. 10 years that I've been working as an animator
Cool.
in the game industry. I've been working in animation industry, game industry, so I kind of navigate a little bit both. But like the last 7 years, I've been really just in the mobile game industry. I've been at Supercell for 6 years. Before that, I was working as a freelancer. I worked a little bit at Rovio, the makers of Angry Birds. Before that, I worked in an animation studio called Axis. They shut down a couple years ago, unfortunately.
Really good animation studio.
Yeah, they were known for like their Halo cinematics. That was the most known thing, but they were working on a lot of different games. So I got to work on IPs of like Blizzard, like Heroes of the Storm. I got to work on Destiny IP. I got to work on Elder Scrolls IP. Some also unfinished project, Unearthed Kings. So
Cool.
A lot of different IPs as working on the cinematics side. So I was an animation studio working on cinematics, and then later on I moved on to more like gameplay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, then you moved on to Rovio, and then you moved to Brawl Stars pretty much when they launched, or a bit after.
Yeah, global launch, basically first month of global launch, I joined the team and started working on animation and scaling our outsourcing with other artists in the team.
Awesome.
Yeah, so you touched like a lot of the Brawl animations and so on.
Yeah, the majority of brawlers for the last couple of years started outsourcing that. So I was more like animation director, outsourcing, but most of the brawlers I was doing myself. And skins is where I needed most of the help, because we were shipping, 10, 12 different skins every couple months, and that was just like insane workload.
Right on.
Yeah, so I've been, I think, like around 4 or 5 years maximum. So yeah, I've mainly worked all my career on mobile already. I was first at a very small company doing some RPG mobile games, and then I moved to Social Point, which was bigger company. They have Studios, they have Dragon City.
And at Social Point, you were very much like on prototyping,
Yeah,
on Unity.
I was on a team that would make the new games for the company. But yeah, at the end of the day, I didn't agree much with how they handled things, and they looked more the numbers and not that much the game soul, And that's what I find here, which is like, sure, numbers are important, but what matters is the soul of the game.
Cool. Yeah, this year is my 11th year in the games industry. Prior to that, I was an accountant, and I made a hard switch. This is why the accountant joke hit me kind of hard. But I actually got my start by just doing an indie studio. It was just me and one other engineer, and we made a free-to-play monster battling game, basically inspired by Pokemon and Final Fantasy. And I did that for a year and a half, and then worked at the time I was in Canada. I'm Canadian, and sorry about that. I was there for about a year at an indie studio making mobile free-to-play farming games. I then applied and fortunately got hired. Actually snuck into a Blizzard recruiting event, applied, and then I ended up spending 6 years at Blizzard working mainly on Hearthstone, and then working on Warcraft Rumble and Diablo Immortal, supporting those teams. And then lastly, my last job at Blizzard was on the Hearthstone team as a systems designer. And then from there, went to Supercell and spent the last 2.5 years on the Brawl Stars team. They brought me on, they said, please, we need to remove loot boxes. And then a year later, they were like, hey, we need to put them back. So there was a journey there. That was fun, 2.5 years. And then, yeah, I talked to Brice at an event, and I knew he had left, and I was really inspired by the mission of making games worth sharing, the social first, this kind of trying to disrupt how mobile games are marketed as first-class citizens, so to speak, and then joined last year. Yeah. So 11 years now.
Yeah, my side, yeah, Felix and I were at the same school actually. So we were learning 3D together at the same school. It was in Lyon in France. We're both French. So it's been, I guess, same for me, right? About 10 years. I did, at first, I started on mobile gaming actually, on a game called Disney Magic Kingdom. And I was the guy like, behind the scene, like making the buildings and some of the characters for that game. I worked on some games for Amazon, but then I went more into like, animation for a year or maybe 1 or 2 years. I was in Ireland making like Disney TV shows and Nickelodeon TV shows and stuff like that. Then I did like a small collaboration also with Pixar, like not working on a movie, but more like on the tech. They use a tech called Renderman and a couple of things there that was pretty exciting at the time, very cool. Then Felix and I, you didn't mention that, but you and I moved you were in Glasgow, I was in Dublin in Ireland, and we moved to Madrid to build a company. At the time, it was like an outsourcing company. We were building that, and we were there living in Madrid, like kind of month by month, not much money, and making that company, getting contracts, and starting to work. It was really hard. There was a lot to do and so on. We didn't have much knowledge of how to build a company and so on.
Knew nothing, basically.
Yeah, we were just trying to, make a bit of money and build something meaningful.
Trying to build an outsourcing studio without really understanding what it meant, way before the industry moved into outsourcing as a norm.
Yeah, and we brought that at Supercell actually. So then it brings me to Supercell. One day they were just like, they reached out and they offered me a job. I arrived after the global launch of Clash Royale. The team was very, very small, and we actually brought outsourcing to Clash Royale that allowed us to do way more for the players. And it was at the time where we were doing Battle Pass, so there was more content, and we had an opportunity to kind of take all the previous assets and characters and so on, and kind of make better quality as well. So I worked quite a bit on that, and then then later on marketing and more like I moved a bit away from the art side, very specifically art, and moving more to, I would say, what we can call art direction, as well as operation. So, yes, not just making the assets and so on and so forth with the partners, but also, how we setting up the teams, to work, with now the marketing team and with outsourcing and just a lot of operation and even like what contracts and what's the best setup for the company. And so that was very interesting. So that was.
Bruce's art test to get hired was to do Skeleton Dragon in Clash Royale. I found that out. That was cool. I really like that unit. They kind of nerfed him a little hard, but it was cool to see. That was Bruce.
Yeah, it was my test of entry, and then they decided to put it in. So I guess it was good. So should we end it?
Yeah, let's end it here.
Yep. Cool.
Awesome. Well, thank you for everybody who decided to sit through all the way till the end of this. Hats off to you, and please keep the feedback coming. Thank you for all the questions. And this is our first time doing it. We hope to do more of these, especially if people want to see them. And so, thank you for tuning in. And we hope you enjoy this next playtest.
See you.
Hallelujah. See you.
Nice guys.
I am not saying that. Good stuff.
Nice.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Man, I'm here. I won't let you down. Oh man, I need boba or something.